Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I've got a more fun video for you about some maps that I would love to see in Modern Warfare. New maps, not things that we've done before, not remakes, not complaining to the devs about stuff, but just literally a little bit of fun, some maps, some modes, some ideas that I've never seen in a Call of Duty game. None of this is leaks or confirmed anything. I don't have any sponsors in this video for the first time ever, which is kind of crazy because Q4 is usually like sponsor, 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 because that's where all the advertising money goes. And I also know that pretty much none of these suggestions can ever be implemented because it's late cycle now in Call of Duty. Like, a lot of the ideas for maps are pretty much being put in place, and there's not a lot of new stuff going to be made until, well, the next game, of course. But I was talking with my wife about these. I was just having fun with it, and I honestly had a good time just doing sort of this like fantasy COD stuff. So I wanted to share some of these ideas with you and do like a lighthearted fun video, because all the stuff on the channel now is like either very serious in-depth guides or like very serious Modern Warfare criticism or arguing with the greater community or Reddit or something. So let's do something a little bit more positive today, and let's talk about these maps. Also, the gameplay you're going to get to see is me when I actually don't have to use weird guns, so it'll be better. And the first map that I would love to see is actually a terrible idea. Like just objectively speaking, this idea is terrible. I would love to see a 4D map. My wife and I came up with this one together, and this is, I mean, 4D is in four-dimensional. I'm not talking like the theater where they blow the hot air and wind on you, but like an actual four-dimensional map with 4D transforms and folds where you can move between dimensions and fight people, kind of like some of the stuff you could do in Infinite Warfare. Because you can somewhat easily program extra dimensions into a 3D game. It gets a little bit weird because the map would be 4 dimensions that you see projected onto a 3D space and then onto a 2D screen. So there's a lot of like transforms and stuff going on, but it's doable. And basically, it would probably require 2 significant design choices. Either A, you would assign buttons that let players move in the 4th dimension, like probably like the Sony touchpad, or like you click on the stick to like pop dimensions or something like that. Or B, you could have little 4D nodes that are set up all over so you can walk around and go to different dimensions and do things. It'd essentially be like some of the little puzzle games or like Portal that you see. And interestingly, you could have your mini-map be 3-dimensional and transforming with each extra transform that you roll through on that dimension. And what would be really cool would be that if you could shoot in 4D, like, because everything that you do exists in all the dimensions, it's not just one or the other. So you could be at an empty space and shoot people, and you know the transforms because you've memorized them and the bullets hit them in other areas. I think it'd be fun. There's literally no way this would work, like, at all. And I know that. I am completely aware this map, like 90% of people wouldn't understand it. The 10% that did, it would be a huge, like, mental galaxy brain thing to kind of get going on properly. It wouldn't be fun. It would be frustrating. It would be random. It would be chaotic. It certainly wouldn't fit anything in Modern Warfare. It'd have to be an Infinite Warfare or Black Ops 4, and I know that it wouldn't be popular. But it's a fantasy idea, it's my fantasy idea, and it's just one of those things I would just like to see. I would like to see just once to kind of know what people would think about it and how it would play and how it would look. And I think it would be fun to play like a few times, but overall probably not a good idea. The other 3 ideas I have for you in this video are much more grounded. I think you'll find these other ones a lot more fun and interesting, and we'll sort of do least interesting to most at the very end, starting with a hospital map. It's always sort of subversive or devious in a way to have a shooting or like a violent game map in an otherwise pacified place, kind of like Vacant, which is or was a school. So this can be kind of like the new Vacant. You could make it 2, maybe 3 stories tall, mostly indoors. I think would be good. Maybe like a big parking lot and some roof snipers or 2nd or 3rd story snipers. If it wanted to be a bigger map, it could technically be a hospital complex, because most of those, at least in the US, comprise several buildings with walkways that you could fight over for choke points and fun stuff. Inside would be a lot of what we already have, kind of cluttery stuff in Call of Duty maps. There'd be lots of individual rooms for people to camp in, beds, wheelchairs, IVs laying around. It'd be very cluttered. I think it'd be fun to have bloodstains on the floor, dead bodies of soldiers that didn't make it. And if you haven't noticed, what I'm basically already describing is that mission and campaign where you have to sweep and clear an insurgent hospital, or just a hospital where insurgents go. So you're like checking bodies and they'll pull a gun on you when you're not looking and stuff. It maybe wouldn't be the best map, but I kind of like the subversive idea of fighting over a hospital. And I think you could do some fun stuff like have an MRI machine that sucks in grenades if you throw them too close to it, or rip the guns out of your hands. It's probably a terrible idea, but I'd love to use some of the medical equipment. Outside, you could have ambulances for cover. You could get into the ambulances. It'd be fun to have them drivable, but it'd have to be just a massive, massive map. And you could release it with the first responder skin, where you've got like your rescue worker guy clothing on. And I guess at that point we'd be doing like Paw Patrol or like First Responder Fantasy with like Police Fire and EMT hero skins, which really doesn't have anything to do with Modern Warfare, but I'm just being silly at this point. Now, the last two ideas I have I think are much better and more feasible, especially this one. I would like to see a map that is literally Walmart. And I'm not being figuratively Walmart, I'm being like Walmart as close as you can get it without being sued. I would call it either Big Box or Black Friday, or maybe Retail Hell, or something like that. And if you think about Walmart, for those of you that live in the US, or for those of you that don't live in the US, it's a big chain store. It's like a giant buy everything in one place store. You can literally buy everything in one place. But most of you, I assume, are familiar with it. You've got the shelves, you've got the different sections, you've got the massive layout, the parking lot, the back. It's pretty much already done. I mean, you can have all the TVs be shootable and the electronics. The grocery store area has these long metal shelves you can't shoot through, and they provide great one-way cover, but you kind of get stuck in them. You could like hide and post up in the meat freezers in the middle of the aisles if you wanted to, just kind of crawl around in all the meat. I think it'd be fun to have the back. You know, you always ask a Walmart employee if something is in the back, and that just means I'm going on a 15-minute smoke break. But you could actually go to the warehouse and fight, and then you've got the forklifts and the boxes and stuff. It'd be funny to drive a forklift, but this isn't Battlefield. And more interestingly, I think it'd be fun to do stuff with the sporting goods section. So for the handful of you, actually not handful, it's like 40% of you guys are watching from somewhere in Europe or overseas, you can buy guns at Walmart. Not just like little pistols and hunting rifles, but you can buy full-on assault rifles, except not full automatic ones. At Walmart, you can buy red dot sights, ACOG sights. You can buy any kind of ammo you can dream of, any kind of attachment you can dream of, big mag, small mag, whatever you want, at least in most states. Definitely in this state in Texas. I can go get an AR-15 at Walmart tomorrow if I want one, and most of them actually also carry AKs for whatever reason. But imagine in Call of Duty, the gun section, the sporting goods section is what they call it, would be the one that you fight over, and you would run over there and you could just like hit a button like you do in Ground War on the giant ammo pile and get ammo, or you could just get one free random attachment on your gun. Just like, ba-da-ba-doom, you get a free attachment, chain sights, something kind of funny like that. You could add extra levels to it by like having a second story with a deer stand set up, because I know some of them sell those, or maybe like a section where they've piled up all the construction equipment. It'd be fun to have the garden section, but totally overgrown and bushy and just out of control, like it's not maintained. And I think this would be best as a medium-sized indoor map, probably a 6v6. You might could squeeze it up to 20v20, but I think it'd be a very chaotic 20v20. And if Infinity Ward wanted to do this maybe even bigger, you could take the same concept, but just do IKEA. Like literally IKEA with your Swedish meatballs in the cafeteria and your bedroom section and all this kind of like maze-like huge building with all the people in it. I think it would be fun, and I think it would be interesting for people to play because it's somewhere that they've been in real life. And a lot of people sit around and daydream with these sort of invasion fantasies, like what if Russia invaded tomorrow and I had to defend my city? I would post up on the roof of Walmart and fight over these key locations. And people think about that enough to where I think this could be a fun idea. We're going to move into the very last idea that I've got. This one's almost as crazy as the 4D map. It's a little bit more grounded, and this is probably would be the easiest one for Infinity Ward to actually do because most of the components are already in the game. I would like to see an airplane map, kind of like the Air Force One map from Rainbow Six Siege, but you can take the airplane that you fight over in Spec Ops, maybe make it bigger, make it Air Force One, make it a little bit more like the Rainbow Six Siege map so that it's not just a death tube, right? And you can have, of course, like 6v6, or you can make it a gunfight map or something like that, but it'd be really fun if you had a mode called, I don't even know what the heck to call this mode, but basically a mode where you only have 6 parachutes, or however many parachutes you have players on your team, and it's a search and destroy style game mode. The only way to win is to control all of the parachutes. So both squads have to spawn, fight over the parachutes in some neutral location that changes over and over again, and they have to win. Once the other team is dead, then they can put the parachutes on, and then they have to exfil off the plane, and everybody has to get off in time, and the only way to win a round is to have at least one or maybe more people get off of the plane in time. You could change this up by having people, like, they could stealth exfil, like they could prone out and like take the parachute out of the box slowly while their teammates cover them, or you could like shoot the thing to damage it or shoot people while they're falling. But it's already in Spec Ops, which is essentially multiplayer as is, that you can just jump off this plane before it blows up, and you'd have a timer and the bomb goes off. And I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be really like fun to fight over like the last parachute on the plane. Part of me also wants to say you could do something where you like shoot windows and people get sucked out, but that'd be too easy. I think shooting windows and breaking them and making like a ton of noise would be awesome, because that's kind of how it would really work. It'd probably blow out some headset users. But as far as like sucking people out the window, I don't think it'd be very great. Maybe you can have like one spot and it pulls them out and just slams them into the engine in first person, which would be great. That's kind of my idea for some maps. None of these are honestly particularly serious. I can pretty much already feel in the comments section all the negativity flowing in about how these are terrible ideas, and thank God I'm not a developer and I never like to play any of this. But they're not supposed to be serious. This is just some things I'd like to see, just some fun ideas. We're doing a nice light-hearted Call of Duty video today. And if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe, and let me know if you want to see more of this kind of stuff. Drifter out.